This is the What If Podcast.
Hi, Spencer. Welcome to the What If Podcast.
Hey, Ryan. What's going on?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great.
It feels good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
we record these and we put them out, and then maybe it just happens.
Maybe.
What's up, future people?
What's up, future people?
Greetings.
How's the future?
Hope I'm not dead.
The past is okay. I hope the future's better. Only you can be the judge of that, future people.
So, we got a very special, very dear to my heart topic today.
Yeah, hell yeah, we do. It makes me want to sing You Make Me Feel every time I hear it.
So I was chopping this up earlier, and Katie was like, "Are you playing Goldeneye in there?"
Oh,
right?
Okay, yeah.
Never would have crossed my mind, but I don't remember which level.
It.
I don't remember which level it is. I think it's like the
tomb.
caves.
I think it's Tomb.
I think you're right. Very similar to Goldeneye. Drums, it's got some classic like 80s drums.
Yeah.
It's also very similar to the Halloween theme.
To which one?
Right? Isn't it Halloween or is it Friday the 13th? I always get those confused.
No, I think you're right. I think it is Halloween.
Whatever. Anyway, shout out to Unsolved Mysteries. Shout out to Bobby Stacks.
Bobby Stacks. Don't lose your heart, Robert Stack. Don't lose your heart. Hey, these mysteries are smart, Robert Stack. These mysteries are smart.
So today we're talking about what if you got away with it?
What if you got away with it? Which is our version of saying, sort of not our own version of Unsolved Mysteries, but sort of our own version of Unsolved Mysteries. Only in that these are more like, I don't know. I feel like we've got so many stories of people who get away with something. And I think today we're all talking about ostensibly all three things are crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about, so I have a story.
Of varying degrees of severity, but yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about.
I will tell you three things.
We're going to talk about an airplane hijacking.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about, I'm going to tell you a story about a casino robbery.
Yep.
And you got one for me. What are you going to tell me about?
And I think we're going to open with this one.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about the Max Headroom Incident.
Is that how it, okay. So should we just dive in?
Yeah, we might as well.
If you're ready to dive in, I'm ready to dive in because I already have questions.
All right. Do you want me to lay it out first?
Yeah, but I just want to know, is the Max Headroom Incident how it's like heard and understood? Like,
You should.
Max Headroom.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
ooh.
Max Headroom.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're trying to look this specific incident up, Max Headroom Incident should get you there.
Okay.
The reason
we'll link to
being-
it in the show notes.
So Max Headroom was this British TV show that ran for 2 years from 87 to 88.
Okay.
And
The year I was born. Shout out to me.
Yeah. Way to go, Ryan.
Thank you.
Glad you're here, buddy.
Thank you. Me too.
The main character was this dude. I think he was supposed to be like a CIA or whatever, MI6 agent or something.
MI6.
But he was also a robot / artificial intelligence dude.
Wait, is MI6 a real thing or is that like Mission Impossible?
Isn't that the British? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Isn't that the British version of the CIA?
But that's what I'm thinking. But the reason but my question is the only reason I'm thinking that is because of the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, MI5 and MI6 is like their FBI and their CIA.
Okay.
So that's a real thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just thinking like MI5 and MI6 in my brain triggers those things instead because I'm an idiot.
Because we're dumb Americans
Because we're
and
stupid
don't know what
Americans.
happens outside of our country. Yeah,
So I was like, oh, is MI6 like Mission Impossible 6?
yeah.
God. I'm the worst.
They probably made them. Anyway, so the show ran from 87 to 88. It looked like weird CGI almost because it was an actor, a comedian with like a bunch of weird makeup and prosthetics and stuff on to intentionally make him look fake or like it was computer generated, but it was actually a guy doing it.
Tight.
And then they had this crazy like moving trippy laser CGI looking background behind him.
I'm not super surprised this only lasted 2 years based on your initial description.
But it was pretty popular.
Really?
Yeah, and actually
It seems kind of intense.
There was a brief run in the US on ABC also.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this something that like the internet could dig up and we could watch some of at some point?
Absolutely. And there's a Max Headroom movie as well.
Whoa.
Yeah. But if you Google Max Headroom, like half the stuff you get is this incident we're about to talk about, and half of it is like the actual show.
Okay.
So you can watch like highlights and like best of and stuff. And actually the full movie, Max Headroom movie, there's a VHS rip of it on YouTube as of September 3rd, 2016.
Thanks, internet.
So if you Google just Max Headroom, you're going to get a lot of stuff related to the show. And then you're also going to get some stuff related to this incident.
Dun, dun, dun. Incident.
The Max Headroom Incident refers to something that took place November 22nd, 1987, in the middle of a WGN broadcast in Chicago.
Okay.
And actually, this happened, there were two separate incidents, like a few minutes apart.
Okay.
The first one during the WGN newscast during the sports, they just finished giving the highlights of the Lions and Bears game from earlier that day.
Shout out Sprouts.
So this guy is like mid sportscast, and this other, like the screen goes blank for a second. This other broadcast cuts in.
This is on live TV.
It's live TV, yeah. So they're doing
all across Chicago.
10 o'clock news, all across Chicago,
so
or wherever
people.
you can see WGN. So
that's true.
I don't know
probably
in 87 how big of a radius that was.
Sure, but like I would guess most of the state of Illinois.
Yeah. So screen goes blank for a second, and then this other broadcast cuts in, and it's this guy wearing a Max Headroom mask,
Halloween style.
Yeah, standing in front of this like moving, trippy background, sort of like the Max Headroom stuff. But it's just like this corrugated metal sheet that someone is like turning in the background.
In the middle of the evening news.
Yes. And it's about 10 seconds.
Okay.
There's no audio or anything. It just cuts to this dude standing in front of this background for about 10 seconds and then cuts back to the newscast. Later that night.
Wait, does the newscast know this is happening? Or did they just like, are they carrying on like they didn't know?
I don't know if the people on air knew.
Okay.
But the people like behind the scenes at WGN definitely knew.
Okay. So the people on air might have been just like, and then
I think he probably just kept reading scores for another 10 seconds.
And everybody in the control room is losing their mind. Like, what the fuck was that?
Right. So no audio made it. It was just this dude. And if you Google this, like, it's really creepy looking. It's a dude in a mask. It's a mask of a guy who's supposed to look kind of like unnatural to begin with. And he's just standing in front of this moving background for like 5 or 10 seconds, and it cuts back to the news.
Okay. I'm weirded out.
Yeah. So
I'm sufficiently weirded out.
A couple hours later, during an episode of Doctor Who.
Tight.
Because apparently that's what WGN ran on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happens. It cuts to a black screen, and then this other broadcast cuts in. Except this time, there's audio, and they took over the airwaves for about 2 minutes instead of just a few seconds.
Awesome.
So I actually have audio of the interruption.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So what you're going to hear at the beginning is the Doctor Who episode, and then after about 5 seconds, it cuts into the other broadcast.
Just real quick, I just Googled an image. I didn't actually. So
it's creepy.
You told
as hell,
me this
man.
is what you wanted to talk about. I didn't actually watch the video because I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna wait.
Yep.
But I just Googled an image from it, and I think I saw it in the wiki when I just saw what the incident was. This picture of dude is weird as balls.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It makes me feel icky.
And the audio is not going to help.
Stupid. You should talk often with the old ones of your tribe. That is the only way to learn.
So this is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I'll get you a hot drink, miss.
I've done some dry clothes.
Sounds like Wally.
So it's super distorted. Yeah.
Wally. What? Am I supposed to be able to fully understand what this dude is saying?
So it's very distorted, I think, on purpose, because obviously the guy doesn't want his voice to be recognized.
Right. Like a vocoder of some sort.
Yeah. He starts humming at one point. Yeah, it's really weird, dude.
Yeah.
So
my jaw is just dropped in here right now.
So that goes on for about 2 minutes.
What is that psychopath doing on the news?
So there were people sitting at
Or
home
Doctor
at
Who, I guess,
11
at this
o'clock
point.
on a Sunday night watching Doctor Who, and this comes on their screen. And again, if you watch the visual, the dude, he picks up a dildo and throws it at the camera at one point.
Cool. Cool. All right.
It gets pretty rowdy.
He's like, I stand by him more now that you told me that fact. He weirded me out at first, but now he seems like
it is. I support dildo throwers.
I mean, he's got a sense of humor about him.
So there's a version on YouTube where someone has actually cleaned up and transcribed the audio.
Whoa.
So
please tell me you have that in front of you.
I can read you the transcription of the audio. Yeah, hold on 1 second.
I mean, I guess if I were to guess, I would say it's probably as nonsensical as I think it is, but maybe it's not.
It's not as. All right, let's see if I can pull it up and I'll try and
just gonna head over to rapgenius.com real quick and get the lyrics for the Max Headroom Incident.
I'll try and narrate as the audio is playing. So here is
You should talk often with the old ones.
the end of Doctor Who.
Okay.
It's the only way to learn.
And cuts in. That does it. He's a frickin' nerd. Yeah, I think I'm better than Chuck Swirsky, frickin' liberal. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch the wave. Which was he also at that point where he says catch the wave, he throws a Coke can at the camera.
Tight.
Which I think at the time in '87 was a slogan of
slogan.
Coke.
Okay.
Yeah. Screams and moans, it says for this point. Your love is fading. He threw the Coke can. Hums the theme to Clutch Cargo. I don't know what that was. I think it's got to be like an 80s TV show or something.
Doesn't register to me either.
I stole CBS.
But he didn't. He stole WGN.
He yells, "Oh, my files." I forgot about that part. Yeah. I fuck with this guy.
Moans. Between two asterisks.
Oh, I just made a giant masterpiece for all the greatest newspaper nerds.
Cool.
So, I mean, he's just... My brother is wearing the other one. He holds up another mask. Oh. Now there are two guys. One guy has his ass out and it's being spanked with a fly swatter.
Oh, good.
Yep, that's what's happening in this part. There's a bare ass being spanked with a fly swatter. Oh, do it. Oh, more screw. Oh, he touched his ass. And we're back to Doctor Who.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. So.
Wow. I feel like I would be so psyched. Okay, I don't watch the news just on principle.
Yep.
I think local news is garbage.
I'm with you.
I even think the national news is kind of garbage.
Definitely with you.
But sometimes you're watching a Seinfeld rerun and it carries over into the news or whatever, and you find yourself watching it for a couple seconds.
Sure.
And I would if this happened, I would be standing on my couch just so psyched if this was started happening on live TV. I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but this is awesome. This is the wildest shit I've ever seen.
A lot of people had different reactions than that.
I would imagine in the late 80s, people were probably extremely upset about it.
A lot of people were pissed.
I bet.
Yeah.
I guess
it was,
even today, people would be.
It was taken pretty seriously. And also so it was most likely 3 people because there are 2 people in the shot.
Okay.
A minimum of 3 people. There are 2 people in the shot and there's someone filming it.
Yeah.
So there's at least 3 people involved with this. And they have never been caught. And there's never even really been a solid lead on it.
Also awesome.
Yes. Right?
Okay. So
these guys, I mean, for now, almost 30 years later, have gotten away with it.
Is this, I guess it probably is. That's a stupid question. But I ask stupid questions all the time. Is that a crime, I guess? Like, I mean, I guess it is a crime.
Okay, so Vice Motherboard did like a big breakdown / like investigative journalism piece about this.
Dope.
Within the last year or so. So I'm going to read from that to answer your question real quick.
Cool. We'll also link to this in the show notes.
The government was unamused. Officials from the FCC, the agency responsible for regulating America's airwaves, pledged to track down the mysterious culprits and bring them to justice.
And shit in their mouths.
Agents from the FBI Chicago. So the FBI got involved.
Cool.
Agents from the FBI Chicago field office.
Nice job, dudes.
would soon join the investigation. Quote, I would like to inform anybody involved in this kind of thing that there's a maximum penalty of $100,000, 1 year in jail, or both, end quote.
Cool. For like, I guess I'm still like.
So it's a very, so again,
Stealing
this is
signal.
quoting an FCC spokesman.
Yeah.
All in all, there are some who may view this as comical, but it is a very serious matter. Illegal interference of a broadcast signal is a violation of federal law.
Ah, okay.
So it's actually a federal crime.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, those dudes were.
So there was
ladies. We didn't see two of them, so we can't.
Yeah, one of them sounded probably like a man's voice.
Okay.
But even that is kind of hard to tell. You don't see anyone's face throughout the whole thing.
And on a vocoder.
Yeah, or some
could
sort
be
of
distorted into something.
Sure. The closest, about 5 years ago, the closest anyone has really gotten, somebody posted on Reddit that he knew the two guys who did it.
Mm.
And it was this guy who lived in Chicago at the time and was heavy into the phone phreaking scene.
Okay.
Which we really don't have time to dive into at the moment.
Yeah.
And could be another episode onto its own.
Maybe we will.
But basically there were, in the 80s, pre-internet, there were people who would hack phone networks to either gain access to things or to fuck with people. And he posted on Reddit that he knew the two guys who did it. They had told him they had something like really big in the works and that he should watch the news on this day back in 87.
Okay.
And he never names the two of them. He refers to them only by their initials. And this picked up a lot of steam 5 years ago, was actually reinvestigated. And these two individuals were, within the last couple of years, officially cleared of doing anything.
Oh, interesting.
And
so they were talking shit to their friends like, oh, it was us. Like,
I don't know how, or if this guy on Reddit was just like put it together years later, like, oh, I knew these guys who would have maybe been able to do this, and they said something weird as if they had some information about it.
Wouldn't there be like a statute of limitations on that? Like even 5 years ago, that would have been a 20-year-old crime almost.
More than that, it was 87.
Oh,
to 25
so,
almost. 24, 25.
Yeah. So like, wouldn't there be a statute of limitations on interrupting an episode of Doctor Who in Chicago?
Like, that's the thing. No one, you see half of a dude's ass. Like no one was hurt by this.
Did he say
he didn't swear?
He didn't swear.
There's no, I mean, obviously showing your ass is an FCC violation.
Oh, well, yeah, you can't show butts.
There's no, he doesn't give the finger. There's no swearing. There's nothing like, aside from the fly swatter to the ass.
Which is, I guess
there's
you're not
nothing
really
like
showing
obscene.
that on TV.
But even that, like, you gotta let that go at some point, right? Like, no one got hurt. No one lost any money. Like, no equipment was damaged.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would
25 years later, I feel like you'd get off. There would be some statute of limitation shit on that.
Yeah. So I don't think there's like an active investigation into it at this point, obviously.
Right.
They did narrow down like where the transmission probably came from.
Ooh, that's interesting.
The way that would have had to been done is basically if you aim a strong enough signal at the satellite dish that's transmitting WGN signal, if you aim a signal stronger than theirs at it, it will override it and broadcast whatever signal you're transmitting.
Cool. You got to be shooting a big signal real high though, don't you?
Or you've got to be really, really close, or both. So they would have had to have a pretty significant amount of gear. They would have had to have a straight line of sight to the WGN transmitter. which means they would have had to be really high up because at the time it was on the top of, I don't remember what building.
But a building.
Yeah. So you've got to be like, 50 plus stories up. You've got to have a really strong dish to transmit the signal. And you've got to have a clear shot at it.
Crazy.
Which means that this was also pre-recorded. This wasn't happening live.
Oh, so they had recorded a movie that they were broadcasting at it.
Right. Which also there are a few like edits in the video. So obviously it wasn't done live, but yeah. So it wasn't necessarily the same people who filmed the video that actually carried it out and transmitted it.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have been, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Interesting too, because that wouldn't, well, I'm just thinking out loud here, but like, wouldn't it stand to reason then that there was probably, if it wasn't done live, that there was probably much more of like tape on that, because depending on how or when they overrode or if they succeeded at a certain point or whatever, there would have had to have been more tape on either side so that whenever the signal did break through, if they had fixed it, then it would have pulled back off, and then there was probably more tape after that, etc. That'd be cool. I want somebody to upload that to YouTube.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the science of like, as soon as you start broadcasting, does it immediately override the weaker signal?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I would imagine.
Did they have a plan for like, what if WGN didn't kick them off for an hour?
Right.
Did they have more stuff that they were going to run?
Right.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that.
I hope there is. God, I hope there's a video somewhere of those three people.
At
just
this
like,
point, if it's been 30 years, I don't think that shit's coming to light.
That's true, which is kind of a bummer.
Because even if you're a teenager when you did it, those people are damn near 50.
Right. And they probably have like families and real lives, and they're like not trying to go to jail.
And I don't know how, if you couldn't prove any of it at the time, how are you going to prove it now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that would be such a long shot to be able to pull that down. That's wild.
That's the Max Headroom Incident, or like 1/100th of the Max Headroom Incident. But that's about all we got time for.
And they got away with it.
It did. For
Man.
now. I mean,
for now, yeah, I suppose. I mean, if someone else posts something wild on Reddit, who knows? The FBI might
reopen
be in their bonnets and
or someone comes out
questions.
and says, "Yeah, I did it. This is how I did it. Fuck you guys. It's been 30 years. You can't do anything about it."
I think this was actually pretty funny, to be honest. Like, let's all have a sense of humor and carry on.
That's my kind of federal crime. No one gets hurt. It's funny. There's some butts involved.
Definitely butts.
Doctor Who sucked in the 80s anyway.
Very sick burn.
I'm with it.
Isn't Doctor Who a British show?
Yes.
So they took a British character.
It's patriotic.
And put it over a British show.
Yeah.
So
Next
meta.
Next level.
All right. Awesome. When we come back with the episode, What If You Got Away With It on the What If podcast, we're going to talk about the only, I believe this is true, the only successful case of aviation piracy in the history of the United States.
One of one.
One of one.
This shit ain't regular, man.
We'll be right back.
We want to hear from you. Send us a message. Email hi, that's hi, @whatifpodcast.com. Or leave us a voicemail at 612-246-4614.
We're back. It's the What If podcast. Hi, Spencer.
What's happening?
How you is?
Oh, about as good as I was before we took a break.
What happens? You're better. You know you're better.
Yeah, you're right.
You got a fresh drink.
A little bit better every day.
Your bladder's alleviated. We good.
Fuck yeah.
We good.
So we're talking about what if you got away with it.
We are.
We talked about Max Headroom.
We did. That face is gonna haunt my dreams.
Fuck yeah, it is.
And next we're gonna talk about. Dude, I'm psyched about this one. I stumbled across this and I was stoked to talk about it on What If. We're gonna talk about the only. I'm gonna call him an air pirate, man. He's an air pirate.
I think that's the best way to put it. I mean, it's by far the most fun way of putting it.
Good. Then that's what we're about here. He's the only successful air pirate in the history of the United States.
Cooper.
Uh-huh.
My guy, DB Cooper.
DB Cooper.
/ Dan Cooper.
Dan.
Yeah.
As he, we'll say, introduced himself.
So, real quick, before we get into the story,
My man.
the reason for the Twin Peaks sounders throughout the episode today. So, Agent Dale
That
Cooper.
fucking show.
You mean one of the greatest shows of all time?
I know. I enjoyed it. I need to go back and finish it.
So, the main character on that show, Agent Dale Cooper.
Jeez.
Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Dale Cooper.
His
You just set it up so you could play that sample.
fuck yeah, I did. Yeah, this is why I run my own podcast and I do what I want. Okay, it's
So we can have
mostly
soundboards that we believe in.
it's mostly so like I can watch Twin Peaks, and then when my wife comes in and asks what I'm doing, I can say I'm working.
I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm working here. Settle down. I'm working here.
So Dale Bartholomew Cooper,
Dale Bartholomew Cooper.
in classic David Lynch style, is actually named after our guy DB Cooper,
is a reference
the
to
world's
DB Cooper.
most successful air pirate. DB Cooper.
Very much the most successful because he's the only successful.
Whatever, most, only.
Both.
Yeah.
Why not both?
All right, so break it down for us. What happened?
We're in Portland, Oregon.
Yep.
So that's where our story begins.
Tight.
That's where Dan Cooper begins, at
Shout
least
out
as
to
far
Pete.
as we know Dan. Dan is in Portland, Oregon on a Wednesday, Wednesday the 24th of November of the year 1971.
Day before Thanksgiving.
The day before, right, because Thanksgiving is on Thursday. So day before Thanksgiving, this fool walks into an airport in Portland. I don't know which one. I don't know if it was the biggest one. It doesn't really matter.
I think there's only one, isn't there?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know if it was.
Pete, help us.
I suppose Peter. We need him to like Stranger Things us when like make the lights flash up to like answer questions for us.
Yeah. From the yep. Totally.
From the Upside Down.
Cool reference, bro.
Thank you. It's very topical. You guys should watch this really cool new show that everyone's talking about.
I really hope this episode comes out in like March.
So Dan Cooper walks in, and like I think it's important to this entire story that like flying is so different now than it was in 1971. Like there were almost no rules because commercial aviation hadn't started. Like,
I was gonna say it was
as a
fairly new,
thing
right?
Until like I think the 60s.
Yeah.
So like we're talking about like a thing that's less than 10 years old. And back in those days,
Was it really that recent?
commercial aviation, I mean, we can look it up, but I know that it wasn't like commercial aviation wasn't like a real thing in the 50s, was it?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I'm not gonna look that up, and I'm gonna.
In my
acknowledge that I'm
mind, like
stupid.
flying commercial in the 70s is like you pay $20
Yes.
to get from Portland to LA.
Yes.
And you get on the plane and you have free scotch
Mm-hmm.
and free Coke.
And it's very like cocaine or Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
got it.
both.
Both.
We've scaled down recently. Now
Bummer.
it's just free Coca-Cola.
I
It
want to
used to be
fly in the
actual
70s,
cocaine.
man. That sounds really
There
fun.
would be like a polar bear rug and like a fucking fireplace
Excuse me, stewardess. Can I get a blanket? Oh, here's your polar bear rug, sir. To
and like
wrap around your
7
shoulders.
hookers for every passenger. That's what I'm imagining flying coach in the 70s was like.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you because I don't know any different.
Tight.
So
So
I'm
we'll
going to
assume
say
I'm right. Okay.
I'm going to say yes 100%.
So DB Cooper, Dan Cooper, whatever,
Yep.
Agent Dale Bartholomew Cooper
Yes, sir.
boards a flight from Portland to where?
To Seattle.
Okay.
And actually your
That's
line,
like a 10-minute flight, isn't it?
it cost him $20. So your line about it costing $20 is actually 100% true.
I mean, I've driven from Portland to Seattle and it took like 2 hours.
Yeah.
That was a flight you could.
Was back in the day.
Okay.
That's what I'm told. That's
All right,
what they say. So so this dude hops on a 727, which will be important later.
Okay.
With about a third of a flight of people. And he's in the air after about less than 30 minutes. And he says to the stewardess via a note that he hands to her. Well, actually, the story I heard, which is I like so much more. He hands her a note. Dan Cooper hands the stewardess a note. She basically throws it on the floor because she thinks this dude is giving her a number. Like she thinks this dude is hitting on her.
I think there must be a lot of versions of the story floating around though.
Probably. I'm sure
Because
there's tons. This
I've
story is
also heard a version of the story in which he dictated a note to her to deliver to the pilot.
Yes.
Is this part of the same story?
It is.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Then I'll stop interrupting you.
No, it's okay. Basically, the story is that he handed her a piece of paper and she drops it on the floor going, I don't want this note. And she leans over after he kind of taps her on the shoulder and she says, like, what the fuck do you want? And he goes, miss, you probably want to pick that piece of paper up. I have a bomb. She picks it up and he on this piece of paper has written basically instructions to the pilot about like what's about to go down.
Okay.
And what he says.
And he is indeed strapped with a bomb.
So we don't know if it was a bomb or not.
I mean, did he have like some?
Yes. So this goes back to flying in 1971.
Just the note that said I have a bomb.
Yes. So this goes back to flying in 1971, where apparently they didn't check you for anything. You could bring your coke and your cigarettes and your guns and bombs. Everyone was like, "Cool briefcase, bro. What's in it?" Don't care. Don't care. Carry on with your day. So she asks him, like, "Hey, like, do you have a bomb?" Like, oh my God, you have a bomb. Yeah. And he cracks suitcase open. She sees some wires and some red cylinders. Is like, you know what? That's enough.
Close enough. Sure.
I'm going to go, I'm going to stray on the side of bomb and more than not bomb.
Yep.
So she delivers his note to the cabin. And we find out later through interviews with her that the note basically says, hey, we're about to land in Seattle. When we get there, I would like a truck to refuel this plane, this 727.
Okay.
Boeing 727. I would like 4 parachutes.
Okay.
And I would like $200,000.
Do we know why it was 4?
So what I have heard is that you ask for 4 parachutes because you don't know if they're going to give you fakes or real ones unless they think that you might take hostages with you. So if you go, I'm going to make a pilot jump with me.
They can't give the pilot a fake parachute.
They can't just give you 4 fake ones and kill a pilot inadvertently.
Smart. Okay.
So you ask for multiple parachutes in hopes that you can get
at least one real one.
Exactly. And they are going to stray on the side of shit. I should probably only give real ones because I don't want to risk the fact that we might kill somebody.
Okay. 4 parachutes, refueled plane.
Yep.
And $200K in cash.
$200K in cash, which for those who are wondering, 1971 to 2016, we're looking at about like $1.2 to $1.5 million in terms of what that
1.2 to 1.5 million.
Correct, in terms of like what that translates to.
Okay.
So dude is
we're not messing around.
Dude's not messing around.
Yeah.
And basically they circle Seattle for 2 hours while they get all of this stuff in order for Mr. Dan Cooper, and they land.
Who's pulling these things together? Like, where did that $1 million or what? Well, $200,000 come from?
Yeah, so it came from the airline. Apparently, the airline. I think the airline.
They have $200K in cash.
They made it happen. I think it had something to do with like they basically liquidated something at a nearby bank or like made it happen.
Because weren't the notes, the $20 bills that he got, didn't they like track the serial numbers of the actual bills somehow?
They did.
So how does that happen if they're pulling this together in like an hour and the airline is funding it?
I have no idea. But I think the only thing I can think of is that in some capacity, there are chunks of cash in a bank somewhere that already have that information somewhere. So like if you go to a bank and you go...
Northwest Airlines sent somebody over to the nearest bank in Seattle and they were like, hey, we're being robbed. We need $200,000 in sequential
bills,
20s.
Right. What is it?
And tell somebody to write down what they are.
Right. As in like the chunks of cash they already have at the bank these are serial numbers
they
X
already know
through whatever, because it's just like the cash they have on hand. That's fresh cash or whatever.
Okay. So he gets these things.
So this is an interesting part of it. So later in the stories, this dude they land in Seattle successfully.
Yep.
He says, I want the stuff that I've requested and I'll let all of the passengers on this flight go. And one of the weird things in the whole process, everyone who was interviewed after the fact, this dude was well dressed. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he was
we've got
he was wearing a suit, correct?
mid-40s dude wearing a black suit, black tie, white shirt. He's got a trench coat over it. He's carrying his briefcase, no other baggage with him. So he's
The bomb was in the suitcase?
was in the briefcase.
Or the briefcase?
Yep, and ostensibly that was the only thing that he had on him that he was traveling with. Apparently he was extremely kind and like wasn't like wild. He wasn't like, I've got a fucking bomb. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Get down.
yeah. Get to the chopper. Like he wasn't freaking out. He was like, hey, like this is what's happening. Let's all just follow what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. Give me your money and let's all move on with our days.
Yeah, like even one of the reports, like one of the flight attendants who was interviewed after the fact said that as they were circling, he was realizing it was taking longer. So he made mention to the pilots, like, you can radio to them that I'm forcing them to bring food if you guys are hungry because we are going to have another flight after this. Like ostensibly, he understands that they're going to take off again and fly. So apparently he was like saying to them, hey, if you guys are hungry, like I'll radio or you can say I'm
one of my
you.
demands is that
that we need food here.
I need 7 sandwiches before we take off again.
Bring me some Domino's pizza.
Okay.
So
he was pretty chill about holding them up for 200 grand
and being kind to the people on the airplane. You know, he's
Okay.
not like slapping people around and stuff.
Right.
So they
And
land.
no one was hurt in this whole process.
Nobody
right?
was hurt. So they land. They kick off all the passengers. He gets his parachutes and his money, and they refill the plane. And it's him and I think 3 pilots, and they take back off again. Now, one of the interesting things about landing is he's got all of these instructions that he's passing to the pilots while they're sort of touched down and waiting for their delivery of stuff. One of which is turn out all the lights and hit all the shades because he's worried that there are police snipers who are going to try to see him from inside. So he's like,
how did that plane possibly take off again?
I mean, they let him do it.
Like once the passengers are off.
They got 3 pilots on there and a 727 and a dude. And I also think if you think about it, like, I don't think that this had a ton of, there weren't like a lot of these. No, I don't think a ton of people had hijacked 727s.
There was
in
no
the past.
precedent for like how to proceed in this situation.
How do we keep these dudes safe? Do we storm it? Whatever.
Sure.
So a single dude in plain clothes walks up, delivers the stuff after everybody gets off or during or before or whatever. And he's got very specific instructions. He says he wants to go to Mexico. And so he starts filling the pilots in on like, this is the degrees we're taking and this is the speed.
So he actually knew like the course.
So this is the interesting part about this case is Dan
I've not
Cooper,
heard this part before.
He knew where he wanted to go. He was telling them that the plane needed to fly at a maximum of 10,000 feet in the air and that it needed to fly the slowest speed possible to not have the engine stall. And apparently 727s are one of the only airplanes that can fly lower than 10,000 feet, only going 100 miles per hour in the sky and not have their engine stall. So like there's all this speculation about the fact that this dude knew stuff.
He had some pretty specific information.
Like he knew shit about planes. He knew shit about aviation. He knew shit about where they were going and how he wanted to get there.
Okay.
Or at least ostensibly where he wanted to send the plane.
Right. Because
not
he
necessarily
did
where he
not
wanted
make
to go.
it to Mexico.
He did not make it to Mexico. Hence the 4 parachutes. So what he did at some point back over Oregon, so
this flight path was Seattle to
back
Mexico,
southeast. I believe he told the pilots interviewed afterwards said that he had told them they wanted to go to Mexico City, and they said we can only fly like 1,200 miles at a time, so we're gonna have to refuel between here and at Mexico City. And he said, "Fine, we'll land in Reno if you guys think that's like a decent enough midway point." He's thinking like the whole world thinks that I've got a giant bomb and I'm gonna blow up a 727, so I can safely land in Reno again, refuel, and carry on my way to Mexico. So they go, cool. So they're headed southeast because they want to go to Reno first and then Mexico City.
Sure,
but at about, I don't know. I mean, it can't be more than an hour into the flight.
I was going to say, they didn't make it very far.
No, over Oregon, while they're flying very low and very slow, So one of the things, the reason that it being a 727 is wicked important is because 727s, you know how like when you see a stalled jet, not a stalled jet, but like a jet that no, I meant like a jet that's like on a runway that like they're evacuating because there's like smoke or there's like a problem, whatever. They have the side doors where like the staircases come down.
Yeah.
So 727s have those in the back, in the butt, the underside of the tail of the of it. Like, you know how when you see people parachuting out of like military cargo planes, they have that thing that drops down.
Yeah.
727s are like that, but it's a staircase.
Okay.
So that's how you like could get on and off the plane, but it's on the back butt. And the reason that's important is because, so apparently if you were to jump out of the side of an airplane of like a different, like a 37 or a 47, you could get incinerated by that exhaust, actually. Apparently the exhaust coming out the ass of the engine is so hot that it could basically burn you to death in like a couple seconds. So if you just leapt out into the path of the engine, you'd be dead in a second. Yeah. But because it's the butt end of the tail and it's low enough, you can go down those stairs, fly away from there, and the engines on the wings won't even be close to you.
So you said roughly an hour into this flight?
I don't know if that's exactly right. It was like something like 45-ish minutes.
Pretty quick after takeoff.
Pretty quick into takeoff. He obviously had no intention of taking his ass to Reno.
Right. So he somehow, and he was the one to lower the staircase?
He was.
So he lowers the staircase, straps on one of these parachutes.
Yep.
And jumps out.
Correct.
Not taking anyone with him, leaving everyone else on board.
He took 2 parachutes. He left 2 on board. He bounces out the back with the money tied to his waist using the straps from one of the other parachutes.
So he bails somewhere over Oregon with a parachute and $200,000 strapped to him.
The plane circles back around, lands in Portland with the ass staircase still down because there's only like 2 or 3 guys on board who are the ones fucking flying it.
Right.
So they don't have a lot of time to go back and like deal with the staircase. And they all land and they're 100% fine. Dan Cooper, as we know him, has never been found, never been identified, never been seen.
What do these things mean?
What do these things mean? He's the only successful.
That is a wild story.
It is a wild story, man.
So this was, you said 71?
71.
So we're looking at 45 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. So DB Cooper may not even be alive? Because you said he appeared to be like 40-ish.
Mid 40s is what the flight crew put him at.
So this dude's still around. He's in his 80s or maybe even 90s.
That's kind of what they think is 80s or 90s if he is still alive.
Yikes. So this dude got away with it. Like that, it's not happening at this point.
I mean 100%. They found a brick of money in a forest in Portland that matched serial numbers from the bank.
Okay.
That brick of money was only something like a few $1,000s. It was found in like, I want to say like the 80s, like 82.
5,800.
Okay, thank you. So you know this one.
It was found in a river, actually.
Yeah, it was like on the bank of a river, right?
Yeah. By a kid.
Yeah.
It was just like playing in the river and found $6,000.
Oh, cool. Bye, guys.
Yeah, that matched the serial numbers of the bills they had given Cooper.
Yes.
And that was like 1980. It was relatively soon after.
Sure. Well, that still would have been almost 10 years.
Sure, but I mean,
in the scheme of
45,
things, yes. But still, like a 10-year later clue, kind of.
And he left his tie on the plane.
He did. He it was a clip-on, and he unclipped his clip-on before he hopped. And they're saying that there's some DNA on it, but they don't know whose DNA it was.
Right.
So they've never been able to even like remotely try to use it to convict anybody.
And those were the only 2 pieces of evidence, right?
Yeah. The only other one that I have read about is that there was a placard with instructions on how to lower a staircase for a 727 that was found in a similar wooded area to where the money was found on the riverbank. By a hunter. This was after the money itself was found. And they think that actually came out with him, like, as in like, oh, I'm reading my placard to lower this, lowers it. It either flies out the window or it's in his pocket as he's jumping out or whatever.
All right. We gotta move on.
Let's move on, man. He got away with it. Dan got away with it. Great job, Dan.
Fuck yeah, Dan.
Fuck yeah, Dan. Nice air piracy, bruh.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break,
Yes.
and then we got one more story for you before we get out of here.
I'm gonna Ocean's 11 all y'all's asses.
Oh snap!
I'm not gonna rob you, but I am gonna tell you a story about a Vegas robbery that has a crazy twist at the end, and I'm psyched to talk to y'all about it.
All right, let's do it.
We'll be back.
And now, back to the What If podcast.
Hey, yo! We're back. It's the What If podcast.
Oh yeah.
Today, we're talking about what if you got away with it. And we've had a couple stories of people who got away with it.
We got one more.
We got one more.
What do you got?
I got a really, all right, I've been pumped about this one, man. I've been doing some research.
Okay.
I think I've always been thrilled by the concept of like the Vegas heist. You know, friggin' rights she did. And her name is Heather Catherine Tallchief. And Heather Tallchief robbed a casino. And actually, I shouldn't say it's just she because she had an accomplice.
Okay.
But I'm going to rewind you. The day is Friday. We're in October. I don't have an actual day in October, but we are in October on a Friday in the year 1993.
Okay. We'll say it was October 14th.
I don't know if that was a Friday in October in that year.
It was.
It was. It's
Settled.
Mercury's in retrograde. I think it was. It's speaking to me. It's this time.
I hate your story already.
No. So,
or maybe just you. That's yeah.
Hey,
show me what you got.
So Heather Tallchief has recently moved to Las Vegas from San Francisco.
Okay.
She's not. She doesn't have things figured out. We'll say it that way. Kind of been bopping around.
What does that mean?
Kind of doing a lot of drugs in San Francisco. Kind of been job to job. Not really like. She doesn't really have things figured out.
She's struggling.
She's struggling.
Okay. To the point where she decides to rob a casino.
Hang on with me. So she moves to Vegas, right? And she gets a job as a driver for Loomis, which is an armored car company in Vegas that caters to the casinos in Vegas.
I'm familiar. They're around here too.
They are, yeah. I guess maybe they're nationwide. I'm not sure. She's been at the job for 6 weeks. Heather Tallchief is working with a crew of 2 dudes. And the reason that it's important that it's a Friday is because Fridays at the casino are really big days because they're in preparation for the weekend. So a lot of what Loomis does on Fridays now and in the past is they go to the casino and they go fill every ATM in the casino. So then they go to the next casino and they fill every ATM in the casino. So they're carrying more cash
than they are on other days?
Significantly more cash because they're going to go to multiple. They're not taking money out. It's a Friday. They're going to all the casinos and they're refilling to the max all of the casinos because obviously the casinos want everybody to have hella cash to play with.
Right.
Her job is drop 2 dudes off at one entrance of Circus. I mean, multiple casinos, but this happened at Circus. Drop 2 dudes off at Circus. They go in with a big bag of money. Of course, not all the money, but a big bag of money. Drop these dudes off with a bag of money. They go in. They walk from station to station to station, having each other's backs. They refill all the ATMs. We'll meet you on the other side of the casino. Granted, I mean, if anyone's ever been to Vegas, I know you've been to Vegas. Oh, have you been to Vegas?
I actually haven't.
You haven't been to Vegas. We need to go to Vegas.
Can't argue with that.
Word. But some of the floors are like really big. So they're like, hey, meet us on the other side and the south entrance in 20 minutes. And that's the amount of time that we need to sort of fill all our stuff.
Okay.
Her two male coworkers step out the door of the south entrance 20 minutes after Heather Tallchief has dropped them off at Circus, and she's not there.
Okay.
And they're supposed to get back in the truck to go to the next casino to do the next thing to
so she
go fill ATMs.
Nor the truck are there. They're both gone.
She nor the truck are there. They're initially concerned because like not uncommon in any era for armored truck drivers to be like kidnapped or robbed.
The truck is also carrying a significant amount of money, correct?
Right, because this happened at 8 a.m. and they were starting their run of like morning casino drops to prepare for Friday night and Saturday night.
Bunch of cash still in the truck.
They had about $3 million in cash still in the truck.
Damn. Okay.
So they walk out. Armored truck is gone. She has left Circus and has driven to an industrial area in Las Vegas where there is a sign that says armored car repair. Spoiler alert, a warehouse that does not do armored car repair.
Yep.
It is a warehouse that her boyfriend has rented for her to pull the armored car inside of so that they can unload money from the armored car in peace without being argued with or what the fuck are you doing or without having to go significantly far away from like the Vegas area. Okay. Her boyfriend, Robert Solis, has rented out this area under this warehouse like garage area, telling the landlord that basically like he does repair on armored cars. So like, don't worry if you see an armored car in here.
Sure.
That's why it's there. Because I'm specialized in fixing them.
Yeah.
Again, spoiler alert, he's super not. They take the money. Robert forces Heather into a wheelchair, a gray wig, and old woman glasses and old woman clothes. He
forces as in she was not aware of this part of the plan, or what do you mean?
Give me a couple minutes and I'm going to get back to this because this is sort of what's interesting.
Okay.
She gets into this garb. He takes her to a chartered small engine plane, like a Cessna, whatever. They fly it to Denver. They dismount from Denver with their luggage. Denver.
Wait. Hold on. Maybe I missed this.
Yeah.
They have money with them.
Oh, sorry. Nope. Didn't explain that correctly. They do not have money with them. Well, they have some money with them. Most of the money was placed into cardboard boxes in the warehouse area and dropped at a shipping point to be shipped to another location.
Okay.
In Miami.
So they unloaded the $3 million or so that was in this car.
Yes.
Packed it into some sort of
cardboard boxes.
And they're shipping it to, you said Miami?
I believe Miami, and I believe there were other destinations that are unknown or undocumented or some version of that. Some of it went to Miami, but I know there were other locations that people don't know.
And in the meantime, they hopped in a plane to Denver.
Yes. Okay. After that was done, they hop in a plane to Denver. They get out in Denver. They get on an airplane. They fly to Amsterdam. They
still without any of that cash.
They have some on them, but not
just whatever they could like fit in their pockets.
Yeah, you can't. Okay. I mean, $3 million.
So a couple grand or something.
Yeah, okay. 10, 20 grand, 30 grand, but you're not showing up in Amsterdam with
can't carry $3 million of cash through customs. Yeah,
nah. Robert Solis has never been heard from again.
Do we know if he actually got that money?
Yes. Well, we think he did. So here's the twist.
All right, go ahead.
On Thursday, September 15th, 2005, Heather Tallchief appears...
Wait, the robbery happened in 93?
The robbery happened in 1993.
Okay. So in 2005, Heather shows up where?
Almost 12 years later, she shows up at the U.S. Marshal's office in Los Angeles, California, and turns herself in. This case had almost literally been closed. Pressure gone. These people had there were no clues. They weren't in the country. So
as far as people knew, they weren't. Yeah.
And both, as far as is known, they actually weren't. Like when they left Denver on that day, they never came back until she flew in right around that time, walked into the U.S. Marshal's office in Los Angeles, California, and turned herself in.
Do we know why?
She says she wanted to stop running. So here's what happened. So as she says,
Jesus,
that same week, she had flown back from Amsterdam. Her lawyer requested an interview with NBC Dateline to tell her side of the story. before she ever turned herself into the marshals. And then she turned herself in 48 hours after, in a private hotel room in Los Angeles, she met with NBC Dateline and told her entire version of the story, her entire interview of what had happened.
Why?
She apparently couldn't live with the guilt. She had a 10-year-old son.
What she did for 12 years?
Yeah. So she had a 10-year-old.
That was her threshold.
She had a 10-year-old son who was with dude that she committed the robbery with.
Okay.
She says, so this is what she says happened. She says that she was under his control the entire time. She's 21. This dude is 46. He had already shot and killed an armored car driver and done 20 years in prison for the murder of an armored car driver many years before.
And that's been validated? Or
yeah,
she's just saying that?
No, this did happen.
Okay.
This dude is known as this dude. He's got like 30 aliases.
Okay.
She dated him in San Francisco. They moved to Vegas together. He's the one that pushed her to get the job as an armored car driver. She says that she would come home, and before she would go to work, he would play videotapes for her that had weird messages and weird sort of like tie-dyed visuals, and he would physically force her to watch them before she would go to work every day.
Holy shit.
Over and over again. He had weird like...
So he was doing like some MK Ultra brainwashing shit on her.
He had some weird like temples in the apartment with like goat's blood and skulls and candles and shit.
Hold on. Where is this information coming from?
Her. So she's saying... I know. I'm just saying.
And that's not like independently validated anywhere else.
Well, they did
because that could very much just be her being like, no, it totally wasn't me.
No. But they did go to their apartment because they shared an apartment in Vegas before they left.
Okay.
And there was some weird shit in the apartment, including I think the temple altar thing has been confirmed. There was also like multiple IDs, like fake IDs with different aliases and names and shit.
So it corroborates some of what she's saying.
Some of it.
Okay.
But she definitely in the Dateline interview is like, he forced me to do it. I was scared for my life. He took my gun. He made me do this, which I'm not saying I disagree or agree.
But it's also kind of convenient.
It seems pretty concerted for her to go, I've been on the lam for a long time. If I come back and this dude has already fucked off with all the money.
But after 12 years, like how much longer would she have had to wait until that was just a dead case?
She didn't have money is the problem. So apparently what happened was they went to Amsterdam. She got pregnant and freaked out and was like, I've got a kid. This dude's kind of crazy. I don't know what to do, but I got to like get away from him. She bounces and doesn't have the money. Now
she's just overseas with a kid and no money.
Now she's overseas with a child and has no money. And she knows that she's basically being wanted both kind of nationally and internationally.
But that was 10 years before she came back. So what the hell was she doing for a decade?
Working out there and met a new dude who apparently like knew her situation. She leaves her 10-year-old kid with the dude that she was like her new husband and says, I need to go right my wrongs. I think she couldn't bear it anymore, man. I think she couldn't bear it. I think she felt...
So what happened? She go to jail?
She did. She went home. She was facing like everything, like larceny, fraud, like
you stole $3 million.
Yeah, like you like pretty much literally every felony count you can possibly put on a person was immediately what they charged her
violent,
for.
Right?
No, nothing violent. There was no guns used in the crime.
Okay.
But still, like, grand theft, like you're doing a ton of stuff. Yeah.
Stealing $3 million is pretty serious.
Yeah,
even
she's looking at like 30, 40 years, including like...
Really? Even at that point?
Yeah, because you're evading arrest, leaving the country, all that stuff tacked on. You got like, I think there was like 8 felonies involved or something like that.
Damn.
She comes back and pleads out to lesser charges, and she does 5 years in prison. She got out about 6 years ago. We don't know much about her since. Like, there's very little about her. I believe there was some element of the Dateline thing and the lawyer. They were trying to sell her story of this fantastical, strange, mind-melding crime of robbing a casino for $3 million successfully.
Like maybe under mind control by a Satan worshiper.
Exactly, dude, exactly. They're trying to sell this story to Hollywood around the same time, thinking...
Wait, when was this Dateline interview again?
It was 2005, so right before she turned herself in, like the week she turned herself in.
And then she did 6 years, and so she's been out for like 4 or 5 years or something.
Ostensibly, okay. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. Like, I have not seen she has been released.
I mean, I would think you would try and like keep a low profile after getting out.
I would too, but I also think that's a big enough case that they would say, like, you know,
might pop up in the news
master
somewhere.
Thief criminal would have come up. I mean, like, all of the stories about her turning herself in, getting away with it, and then 12 years later turning herself in.
That's crazy as hell.
Yeah. Turning herself in, all of those stories are in the LA Times and the Washington Post and the New York Times.
Nothing after that.
Nothing after that. So I don't know if the story died, if it wasn't interesting anymore or what, but
maybe she was not being entirely honest about it.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know, but she has a lot of family in the States too, which is a big part of what people kind of speculate, that she needed to not only make amends, but was like, hey, like, I got nothing out here, but at least I've got some family back home.
I haven't seen my family in a decade.
Yeah, I can go, like, maybe I can plead into nothingness or make some money off the Hollywood story, go see my family again, maybe get my kid back, maybe go back and get my kid.
Did her kid ever come to the U.S. or is he still in?
I don't know. I
wherever in Europe.
I couldn't really find anything. Like, after,
so probably not.
After she got sentenced to 5 years, so she was facing 40. She pled to 5.
I guess you're not going to give custody probably to someone who's in jail for 5 years for 8 felonies.
Probably
and
not.
Fled the country.
Probably not. But I mean, you know,
well, that kid's not a citizen either, huh? Probably not.
Well, two American parents born overseas. I don't know how that works.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Kid was born in Amsterdam or wherever they were living in Europe. We don't even really know.
I don't know. But yeah,
I mean, who knows if she even went back or wanted to go back or whatever. But yeah.
So she, for all intents and purposes, got away with it.
She did. They got away with it. They had their money.
I mean, he permanently got away with it, but she did and then came back and turned herself in.
Couldn't handle it.
Damn.
It's real. It's not Ocean's 11. Ain't no happy ending where people look at fountains listening to.
She's out there living her life now. It could be.
I guess she had to be finding the clink to do it, but I mean, she made that choice. It would have
been 40 if she had done it differently.
It's real. It's very real. Too real. Too real. That's what we got for today on the What If podcast. Oh yeah, they got away with it, and that's all we got for today on the What If podcast. It's gonna do it. Spencer, you got any last wise words for the people of the internet?
All right, squad. Be safe.
Be safe. We'll see you next time on the What If podcast.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the What If podcast. For show notes, transcripts, and links from today's episodes, visit whatifpodcast.com.